Yeah. Hey, Miss Teresa, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you, Matt?
Doing all right. We were just watching the case details and then the update when the truck was found. There's a couple people in chat that actually very surprised that they have followed the case, which actually really surprises me. That's actually good to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to have you on. I know we talked a few weeks ago. I apologize for not having you on last weekend, but I had the connection issues. You know, when we spoke, I tried to give you SF's information. Have you spoke with him yet?
No, I sure haven't. I know he's really busy. Um, so I just haven't contacted him.
All right, I'll try to reach out to him myself. Is there any updates as far as of late?
No, the last thing yes, actually. After they found the truck, there was North Florida search team went out and did a search there on dogs, tracking dogs, and then they had a ground search out there, looking for Ian. So that was pretty great. They didn't
Yeah,
find anything, of course, which I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so have the how many searches? Can I ask you how many searches the police offered to do, and how many they assisted you guys in?
Well, as far as I know, there's been three. There was one way back at the beginning. I've been told that I don't know that for a fact, but I've been told that. Then there was one just before Thanksgiving, and then there was one, this last one just after Thanksgiving. So there's only been three, that are official. A lot of people have been wanting to go out there and look, but we've tried to say, let the police do their thing. So if there's any evidence or somebody comes across something, it doesn't get destroyed or trampled or whatever.
Yeah. So the I played it, but for people who are joining, there's some questions too that are asking. I'll put them on the screen for you. Um, somebody asked what happened with the other son. They didn't say that because I was showing a clip, but they didn't really play. They didn't go into detail about your other son.
He passed away in February of I think it's something he got from when he was over in Iraq. But he passed away. Yeah. So it was unexpected and a shock.
I can only imagine. I know the holidays has got to be so tough.
Yeah.
Tough. With Ian, he was living with his girlfriend at the time, and what did you learn from that after he went missing, if anything?
I really didn't learn anything. Just that he'd been there. He took his girlfriend to work that morning. She had to be there at 5, and he went back to the house where they were staying, and apparently fell asleep in his truck, and got up. Was woke up by her dad, and because her family lived there as well. Together, and he came over to my house and said he was going to look for some tools, and he did. I saw him when I was leaving for work about 7:30. He left here about 9, called me, said he was on his way to work, and that was the last that I spoke with him. Haven't really learned much, other than that from his girlfriend or the family or anything like that.
And were the police able to ping any communication after, from leaving girlfriend's house to clocking in at work? Was anything pinged to a different location?
Well, he
Anywhere
was.
in between?
He was actually the truck was seen. It was one of the traffic cameras over there by Tom Brown Park. There was a picture taken of that. so apparently his phone was pinged, during that time, but the last time his phone was pinged was at 6 p.m. approximately, over off Tram Road, which is where they eventually, about 2.29 miles from where his phone was pinged, was where they found his truck.
Wow.
Yeah.
So some people have some questions. Can you see the screen?
I can. Yes, sir. I don't see any questions,
Here,
though.
I'm gonna put them on the screen. So someone asked, someone says, where were all these people questioned?
Yes. A matter of fact, the young lady, his girlfriend, and her dad were the first ones questioned, because, he lived with them. Myself and my eldest son, Daniel, we were questioned. His boss, his best friend, everybody was questioned, but no, we didn't, nobody knew anything. As far as we knew, he was on his way to work that day. And
when the truck was found, did you get any explanation from the police? I mean, they had to have taken what they say as far as like searching it or scrubbing it or any of that type of stuff.
well, I haven't heard anything if there was other fingerprints or anything. I haven't been told that yet, which I'm not happy about.
Yeah.
They did a search around the truck in the immediate area. The windows were down. There was some clothes and his sunglasses on the passenger seat. It was stuck in the mud, buried in the mud, and no keys, no wallet, no phone, as far as I know. Haven't been told about that either. All of his tools were in the bed of the truck. So, that's.
They don't have like a CCTV type situation in Wakulla where you could to see if it was spotted or pinned somewhere across the county or town before it was ended up where it ended up, wherever somebody ended up leaving it there. There wasn't any CCTV camera footage with like it riding around town with anybody in it or anything like that.
No, there isn't. The only one that, like I said, that they have is that one near the intersection at Tom Brown Park. And that's the only one and we can't tell if Ian's driving or not because it's just the back of the truck. So, we don't even know at that point if it was him.
Somebody says his phone activity. They haven't give you any updates on that, huh?
No, apparently what happened when they pinged it at 6:00 that evening, it went, either he shut it off or it went dead. And there's been no activity since that time. So.
And yeah, when you communicate with the police, I know we talked off line about like the people handling it and stuff like that. I don't know if you want to get into that. It's up to you. But when you communicate with them, that how is do you feel like they're being informative or more like withheld on you?
I think they're withholding, and I understand they have to do that to some degree, just to keep things close to their chest, just in case there's been foul play. But whether there were other fingerprints in the car, I don't think that's a real big yes or no. They don't have to tell me whose they are or anything like that. If there are other ones, they just, I don't think that they're being as forthcoming as I wish that they would be.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah, I would want to know too, when we see it a lot on these cases, it's just wild. It's almost like you have to get that information, but they just won't, it's it's got to be a struggle, especially with the holidays. Your son's gone. It's got to be so. You must be going crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really hard. I heard a Christmas song today in the store, and it's like almost broke down. Um, it's, Christmas is like you heard on that video was our big holiday. We always did it up really big. So this is really
Yeah.
hard this year.
Yeah. I remember. I know. I remember when I lost my brother. When my brother died, my mom, it really hit her hard it hit the whole family around the holidays. But my mom, she was really bent backwards on that, and it was just tough to watch. And at least,
Mhm.
do you think he what is your gut feeling about like the entire situation? I know it's got to be. I guess before I ask you that, like, I've helped a lot of parents in these cases. Some go bigger with the news, and some don't. And I have some understanding on kind of like what you guys go through, but like, what is it? What does this whole thing feel like? Like, if you have to explain it, like, people, watch this, they pay attention to true crime and then to cases, but to actually go through this, like, how did it feel getting that call?
It's uh, uh, just
Yeah, guys, go ahead.
it's hard. It's hard to describe because like I said, on one hand, you want them to find him alive, but on the other hand, like when they found his truck and there's nobody in it, and there's no sign of foul play, what happened? What did he do? Get the truck stuck in the mud and get out and walk away? And then where did he go? Did he get eaten by a panther? Did he get, fall in a sinkhole? Did he get back on the road? There's so many things. And that's one of the reasons I would really like to find out if there are other fingerprints, because if there was, then there's more to the story than him getting it stuck in the mud, or somebody else was in the truck, they got stuck in the mud. Well, then where's he? Is he in the area where his phone was pinged, which
What's your
wasn't
gut
too
feel?
far.
What's your gut feeling telling you?
Originally, I had thought that maybe he had OD'd in his car. Um,
I didn't
but
want to. I didn't
now,
want. Go ahead.
I don't know if he was driving, and well, this is a new truck to him. He had it for maybe 3 days, I think. And to take it out mud bogging, just doesn't, I don't know, doesn't make sense to me, that he would do that. But then again, so if that's the case, then he would have got out and walked, I guess. Um, but walk to walk to where? I mean, he was slap in the middle of the woods. I mean, in the woods, and thick woods too. He just happened to be on a a fire break, and
Right.
I don't know how unless he followed the road out, which. But then again, it's nighttime. It would have been nighttime. I don't know whether he had a flashlight. You know, there's so many things that I just don't know now. And if he was high or whatever, that definitely complicates things.
It does, because I'm so glad you brought it up, because it's hard to ask this stuff. I try to be respectful with asking questions, but I will tell you, like, one thing I know about this whole stuff with helping parents in these cases and stuff is it absolutely sucks, but I think everything should be thrown out there, and every possibility should be looked at. And because I don't know how many people's going to watch this, 3 or 3 million, this video. I have no idea. It's whatever happens. And the more information out there for people to take in and look at and decipher and sleuth it out and whatever they do. And all we can ask people to do mainly is share his poster and get the word out there. But did they, do you know anything about any past drug use or the girlfriend or
Sure.
any of that?
Yeah, I was, in the beginning, I was kind of reluctant to say anything because my concern was that they just go, the police or whoever just go, just another addict, I
I
knew
get
that
it.
he,
I totally get
he used opioids, and that was the, couple times that he got a couple bad ones and, and went out here actually at my house. And so I thought maybe that's what happened again. I know he'd been up all weekend. And so I'm sure he was looking for, something to keep him going through work. And, I don't know if he found something or from somebody that he didn't know, you know. I know he's had issues with it on and off. I didn't realize the extent of the issues, I guess. I didn't know that he'd lost his job because of it. So it was a little bit worse, I think, than I thought it was.
I think that just the subject alone, and I understand what you mean, like you don't want to be looked at like as another addict and stuff like that. But I think the element of drug use gives you way more opportunity for answers. I mean, because there's so many other questions that can be asked with that whole situation. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole bunch of other questions that could be asked. And what if this could be on a traffic intersections camera, or who this person's phone being pinned, or so many other, a lot of different questions could be asked from that. So I do think it's important that's out there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like the conversations you had with the boss and the girlfriend, they're giving you the whole truth?
Oh yeah, I believe so. Yeah, absolutely. They have, Ian and his boss they went to high school together, so he is totally upfront, about it, about everything. And his girlfriend, yeah, I believe she's being upfront with me. She's, the one who first said, you need to be looking in this direction, as far as meth, or coke, you need to be looking in those directions, you know, which I knew anyways. I didn't know about the meth, but I did know about, that coke was his, DOC.
Yeah. So, um, people say, is there proof that he was with his truck, or did he dump it there? Local dealers, foul play.
I think it was foul play. I said that in the comments before she
The
came on.
location.
I think it
Is
was
she
something. I think it went bad before it even got to the point where he could have done something. If he overdosed, he would have been found in or right around his truck.
Well, that's,
You don't overdose an hour later from
Yeah.
a hot shot of cocaine or anything.
well, that's what I mean by there could be a lot more
It's I do believe
questions
it
to
could have
ask,
been-
because if somehow there was an overdose, then somebody got scared and did something, and if this was the situation, they could have, and then put his truck over there. People don't realize now in Florida, especially Florida, if you overdose, you can't get in trouble. Like if you're
we're partying and one of us has an overdose, and the person that is with one, the one that does the overdose calls the cops. That person's not going to jail because you're saving the other person's life.
Yeah, so it used to be in Florida, and some people know this, some people don't, and it's unfortunate, right? That they recently changed the law. People getting high together and stuff like that. There's been so many cases of people like getting high together, and somebody overdoses and they get scared and they run away. So instead of that person doing the right thing and going to get help for somebody that they're with that's overdosing, they get scared because Florida used to charge you for possibly the death, right?
Mhm.
So people would scatter away and get scared instead of doing the moral thing of going to get help. So they changed that law to where you could, there's a law now literally to where if you're with somebody and they full on overdose, you can, if you pick the phone up and call the police can't even search you. If they they can come out, the paramedics come and assist the person who you called for, but any cops that come with them, they can't search you or pat you down. They have to leave you alone.
It's important because
but
you could overdose, but you need to know what you overdosed on.
Yeah.
I can't treat you. I can't give you, something to bring you out of an opiate overdose
Right.
if you're on, meth or something like, what I mean? Like Narcan isn't the fix all. So they could literally try to revive you and actually kill you because whatever they're giving you counteracts with the drugs you're on. So they need to know what's going on.
So people don't realize that, and they still scatter, where it's wild. But
no, I think they would have left in the truck and just left. Like you don't just leave the truck and take the person with you and leave them somewhere.
Well,
That's just, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, but that's what I was trying to say here. Like with the, I guess what I'm trying to say is like initially you thought like just another addict. I don't want to say drugs, and I completely get that. But at the same time, like there's so many more questions to answer because, like Noelle was saying, in my eyes, just a couple things like. What if this could have been the dealer that he went and got stuff off? Did he rent the truck out to the dealer? Did he let him borrow it? There could have been so many different questions to ask, and which can help. Instead of, we know his phone was off and the last pin location, but there's got to be a call log in his phone with who he was calling and dealing with, and then have those phones been pinned or looked at, or location and all that. There could be a lot more things on that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, if we when he first went missing, we had an inexperienced, I guess, detective who kind of kind of messed things up a little bit. So we didn't get his phone or social media or anything till 3 months later. So they did look at all of that, and there's nothing to be seen apparently. No text messages, no phone calls, that were related to the situation at all. So the only thing I can think, I know, is he went wherever, he would go to buy, and, maybe ran into somebody there. He had money in his pocket.
Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. I could see that, but most people they call the guy, hey, you got so and so, meet me over here, blah blah blah. There's communication, you know what I mean? It's just weird. Why 3 months?
Because
is that how long it takes?
No, she made out the warrant incorrectly. And so we didn't get bank records. We didn't get anything for 3 months. And then the detective that is in there now, he took over and he got it within, 2 weeks. I was looking at his bank records, his social media, everything. So we lost 3 months, basically, because she made a mistake.
He's been gone almost a year now, right?
No, he's been gone. It was a year in August. So what's that? Okay. 16 months?
August, yeah, about that. Oh man, it's so one thing I forgot. What should be mentioned, he wouldn't have just up and disappeared because his son's birthday was what, the next day or the next week?
The next day. And they had big plans. I mean, they did a big birthday breakfast. He was going to come over because he and, his son's mom were splits, but he was still going to come over and have a big breakfast. He was going to pick him up at school, after school in his new truck, and they were going to go do some dude things and, have birthday cake and everything. And then they were going to have like a family, with friends and everything on Saturday. He was supposed to make all the arrangements and everything. And that didn't take place. And he never would have missed his son's birthday. Never in a million years. I will never believe that.
How's that? Yeah, yeah. What is the young man's name, age, and state? He's missing from Florida. It's Ian Rogers. I'll give you guys the flyer. I'll drop the links that I played before Miss Teresa came on here. I believe she has a Facebook group too that they share stuff, keep up with stuff. Yeah, what's the group called?
Operation Bring Ian Rogers
Miss
Home.
Teresa?
It's Operation Bring Ian Rogers Home.
Yes.
And if anybody's interested, and they can just, ask to be invited, and I'll invite them, we'll invite them in. That's where we post everything that we find out. It's not a whole lot all the time, but we do post things there.
Yeah, it's crazy, you guys. I'm gonna make sure you guys. I'll post it on my community wall after this live ends, so you guys can have a clear shot. I'll put it on my Twitter, on my Facebook. Share the poster. It's the best thing we can do. It's a case out of Florida, northern Florida. It's very strange. It's very it's just like a lot of these cases that we see. There's just not a lot there. It's almost like it's like he vanished. I used to. I get mad when people say that. From helping parents and stuff. It's almost like it's almost like a dig or a shot to people who have been through it. And they'll say like, children don't just disappear or people don't just vanish. And it does happen. And sometimes you have not a lot of questions to ask, and it's a shame, it can happen. I don't think I'll ever say those words to jinx myself, or I've seen it, and I used to get mad when people would say that about families going through it, because they would think there's foul play with the family and whatnot, but obviously that's a total different situation with you. Are you still talking to the girlfriend? Are you still talking to the boss, or is there really nothing left there to talk about?
Well, there's not really anything to talk about, but yeah, I talked to both of them on Facebook, and they're both part of the, the operations page. So, definitely, because, you never know something, they could know something or, find something out. It could be the littlest thing, and they can go, oh, I remember this. And, so yeah, absolutely. Talk to anybody and everybody.
The truck being dumped is a distraction, people say. What's up, Miss Paula? Welcome in, written in the stars. I don't know, guys. I don't have answers for, but my crime time says they'll share it. I want you guys to share it. I'll just put out there for awareness. Reach out to Miss Teresa if you have any answers. If you have any questions, I'm sure she could use someone to talk to. Join her group, get involved, and help. It's Florida. You guys know we always help Florida. But it's just sad. It's sad. We've had a conversation offline, and I guess my part, the best I can do is try to reconnect you with SF. I know he is busy, with this time of year, but I will try to reach out to him and get him to get a hold of you tomorrow. Anything else, Mr. Reese?
Well, I did want to say, I don't know if y'all know that they found a remains out in Soptopi in McCullough County, and they're still waiting. Another thing we haven't got, whether a male or female or anything like that, it would be great if they would just say that it's a male or it's a female, so that we have that, hanging out there and pending. We had a skeleton out there before, and we finally got an answer out of that after 4 or 5 months that it wasn't Ian. So we still have this now hanging out there.
Is that how long it took from when they say they found skeleton remains till where it wasn't him? Was it 4 or 5 months?
Well, no, what it was they found it earlier this year, and they compared it to another young man who happens to be missing from Liberty County. And they compared it to him first, and then it was not him. So then they came to me and, did another DNA swab. And from that point on, that was in June, until they found the truck, it was when I found out that it wasn't Ian. So June, July.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll share it out. Any updates or anything else you want to come on, let us know. I'm sure my chat will help you be in contact with you. And, I hope to God you guys get reconnected. I hope you get some, just some clarity. I hope you get some, no matter what the situation or the news is, I hope you get that, it's got to be so frustrating for you to have to go through all this with not any answers and not really any nothing more than what I've showed prior to you jumping on here. There was a couple news clips,
Yeah, it's your mind can go in 50 million directions of what could have happened, and it's, it's frustrating. It's heartbreaking too, so.
Yeah. All right, Miss Teresa, you take care of yourself.
Okay, will do. And if anybody has any questions, good questions also are, we encourage that as well, because, there's so many things that we haven't thought of. So if anybody has any good questions and they want to pass those along as well, please do.
Can I put your Facebook in the link for people to reach out?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. All right, I'll do that, guys. All right, so if you guys want to reach out to her, talk. If you have something to ask her that you didn't want to ask in chat, do it offline and reach out to her. Help her. Try to help her. Help Mama Bear. She's missing her son, guys. Let's help her as best we can. Hashtag find Ian Rogers, y'all. All right, Miss Teresa.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
Ain't no problem. Anytime.